Jay-Z and Suge Knight exposed Gene Deal for his lies about Tupac having Jay-Z scared up in a hotel. It's your boy Heaven Hollywood back on IE Network. This is the Heaven Hollywood Report. And let's get to it. All right, everybody knows Gene Deal, former bodyguard for Puffy and Bad Boy. Well, recently, Gene Deal, where it used to be, everyone would say, Gene never changed his story. Oh, Gene's been telling the truth from day one. Well, since Diddy's been locked up and Gene has had to seemingly scramble and backtrack and make sure that he covers up the lie that he lied about, and make sure that there's no loose ends that could tie him to any one of these cases, he's been, changing up his stories a little bit. Now, Gene Deal made it clear early in the game when he first started making videos that he really didn't know Jay-Z. And he initially came out and said he only met Jay-Z one or two times. But then as Jay-Z became the algorithm and nobody was caring about Diddy anymore, all his stories were starting to dry up. Plus people were no longer going to Gene Deal for the Diddy stories, but they were going to other people like Jaguar Wright and and Big Homie CC and all these other people. He stopped really going to Gene Deal. So now Gene Deal feels as though, I got to do something to stay relevant in this YouTube space because the Diddy story is about over. So now he started talking about Jay-Z. So he had a story where he said that Jay-Z was scared up in Vegas with Tupac. Tupac had Jay-Z scared to come out of his hotel room, and he had to call back, and Suge had to give Jay-Z a pass. Well, Jay-Z already exposed Gene Deal as a liar about that story, and now Suge Knight has exposed Gene Deal as a liar about that story. First, let's take a listen to what Gene Deal said.
The story is that Jay was going to try to perform in Vegas, but Pac was in Vegas, and him and his dudes now, and they wasn't going to let Jay-Z come out the hotel. They found out where Jay was at, and Jay wasn't going to come out the hotel. He was going to miss that performance or whatever like that. But then Dame Dash called some people, and they got back to Chaz, and they made some phone calls, and Suge Knight had said, yo, that ain't me, bro. That's Pac with his wild self, man. I'm going to call him off, Jay. So he called the dogs off. Suge called Pac, and they let Jay go do his concert and everything like that.
So that's what he said, right? Jay-Z already came out and said he never met Tupac, right? And I'm sure Jay-Z is a stand-up dude. He's a solid dude. I'm sure he knows, especially in this type of atmosphere with social media, that story would come back up. Jay-Z said he never ever met Tupac. He didn't really have a problem. Suge Knight just recently exposed Gene Deal as a liar and lying about this story because he was asked by the Art of Dialogue about issues that he had, that Tupac had with Jay-Z. And Suge Knight, if they had some issues, this story would have definitely came up. Right? Let me let you listen to what Suge Knight said when the Art of Dialogue asked him about his issues, the issues between Tupac and Jay-Z.
What was Pac's issue with Jay?
Well, the issue Pac had with Jay was this. Jay and Biggie was friends. That's as far as I knew. I never knew that Jay did something to Pac personally. I never knew that Nas did something to Pac personally. I knew that Pac and Biggie was really good friends. They was like brothers. So they knew each other. Matter of fact, I said this before. I know when Pac first came home, I had him in a penthouse at the Peninsula Hotel. I heard him talking to Biggie on the phone, and Pac had him on speaker. When that conversation was taken.
So, as of right now, Suge Knight said, Jay-Z was friends with Biggie, and Tupac was beefing with Big. So he just said that, he was friends with Big. So that's the only problem that he had with Jay-Z.
Taking place, it wasn't like enemies arguing and fussing with each other. It wasn't like they hated each other. By the look of Pac's face and the way Biggie sound, it seemed like brothers had a disagreement, but they was hurt by what they did to each other. I heard Pac tell Biggie, the bitch didn't want to fuck with you. I made the bitch fuck with you, or I wasn't going to fuck with her or her friend. And Biggie would be like, yeah. And, it was like a grown man conversation. And you know me, after hearing that conversation, I was on some shit like, one day we can do an album, both of those guys together, a 4 CDs album, and tours. And I know when it came to Jay, Pac didn't like the fact that Jay-Z was friends with Biggie. I know that it wasn't personal with him. And it's not like he hated Jay, and when he seen Jay, he wanted to cut his throat or something. And I feel that I don't think Jay had hatred for Tupac like that either.
Well, there you go. Right out of the mouth of Suge Knight, Gene Deal exposed as lying about this story. Another story we found Gene Deal lying about. If something had went down, Suge Knight, who's out here telling all the stories, he would have mentioned right there, there was one time when Pac had Jay, corner. He would have brought that up right there. And we see Art of Dialogue, bad job by Art, because Gene Deal has told this story on his platform. But you see, he don't want to bust Gene Deal out and ask Suge Knight. I had Gene Deal on the platform. He said something about a story about Suge Knight being cornered, whoop, 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 whoop. Is that true about Jay-Z being cornered? And then Suge would probably say, hell no, that ain't true. And see, Art don't want to bring that up because he don't want to bust Gene out. But I just busted him out for you, Art. This dude be lying. So Gene Deal got exposed. We already knew it wasn't true because Jay-Z said years ago he never met Tupac. And Suge Knight just let you know there was nothing personal with Pac and Jay-Z, right? And he said it ain't like when he seen him, he was going to cut his throat or nothing like that. And Jay-Z didn't have no animosity for Pac like that either. There you have it. Your boy Gene Squeal, as Choke No Joke referred to him, lying again, trying to change the stories up to stay in the algorithm. You done out here, bruh. The Diddy story is almost done. You're now trying to rewrite history and make stories up that you didn't tell before. And you're getting caught out there because people are not corroborating this story. So there you have it. So stop saying, Gene Deal, he always tell the truth. He don't never change up. Your boy Heaven Hollywood. Peace.